Brian Habana chases it. Brian Habana's going to score his 7th try of the tournament.
I got a Springbok training jersey that I got to wear for about 5 to 6 years, and it was so cold that I almost ran onto the field with my beanie on. One of my good friends throughout my rugby career said that when it's all said and done, memories are all we have, and I'm extremely grateful for the incredible memories that rugby has given me. And I think looking back at where it all started and how incredible this beautiful game is sort of leads me into showing you the first jersey I want to tell you about. It might not look like much, but I actually got to share the story with a great man, Flanswaar a couple of years ago. Back in 1995, named after Brian Robson and Gary Bailey, rugby was the furthest thing from my mind. And my dad got me into understanding, how big this Rugby World Cup that was going to be played in South Africa was all about. And we sort of getting into the whole hype. My dad took us to a few training sessions. And at the Springboks' last training session before going into camp for the Rugby World Cup, after training, waiting outside to get autographs, Flanswaar called 3 of us aside. In those days, we were still very amateurish. So he said, listen, you guys are going to help me. And we were like, okay, what's that all about? So now you're going to help me carry my, my bags and gear to the car. I was like, okay, cool. So yes, here's a 12-year-old, very skinny Brian Habana taking, Flanswaar warm-up bag to the car. And as we got to the car, he said, gentlemen, thank you very much. And he took out an item of clothing for each of every one of us. And I got a Springbok training jersey that I got to wear for about 5 to 6 years of the guy who would then lift the Willem Willis Cup 8 weeks later. And then I was one of the fortunate few to be in Ellis Park on the 24th of June, 1995, when the late, great Nelson Mandela walked out there in his number 6 Springbok jersey, handed Flanswaar the cup called Bill, and Francois's famous words of, it wasn't for the 60,000 people in the stadium, it was for the 45 million South Africans, resonated with a 12-year-old boy that instilled a dream in him to want to do the same. And having never played rugby before, I went to King Edward VII School the following year, and the dream didn't quite start out how I wanted it to. Starting out in the under 14 G side, SABCDEFG side, it was not what I imagined, but just getting to play this beautiful game that I've been inspired to play a year prior was incredibly special. And that sort of leads me on to my next jersey. Schoolboy rugby in South Africa is an incredibly proud tradition, and I had the likes of Joe Fanica, Graham Smith in and around Cares, and these guys became heroes. And at school, all you wanted to do was play for your first team. And the Reds was a really special unit. The reason being is that our first team never played with numbers on our back. And the reason that culture was created was that you're never greater than the team as an individual. And because we didn't have numbers on our backs, we were always seen as one unit, which was really special. So the 4-year journey of going from the under 14 G side to then playing for your first team, going on to represent the Lions provincially, not in the A side at Craven Week, but the B side was pretty special. Pretty pragmatic of where I'd seen myself, but really made me believe that there is a bit of dedication and hard work and sacrifice that I could potentially then put in to hopefully go on and not only make rugby a profession, but reach that dream of playing for the Springboks. On the 20th of November 2004, getting to wear this jersey for the first time ever, getting to run on and represent my country and make my Springbok debut, and do it in a manner in which, with my first touch of the ball in international rugby against the then world champions England at the home of rugby Twickenham, I get to score a try, was incredibly special. Could have potentially only been bettered if we had actually gone on and won that game, but we got absolutely pulverized by an incredibly dominant English team. And it was so cold that I almost ran onto the field with my beanie on. Thank goodness my manager called me back and said, Brian, just make sure you take your beanie off. So anyone who asked me what's the most important moment in my rugby career, it's definitely this jersey. It was as a replacement, and I actually had to say no to Ben Cohen, who was a World Cup winning England player, in swapping jerseys after the game, because this jersey was just so incredibly special to me. It's pretty dirty, it was because of me diving, but it has some incredible legends' names autographed on it, so this is what Jersey Tales is all about. We were definitely not the better team on the day, and come the 81st minute of the game, the Sharks had an opportunity to kick the ball out. We were down by 6 points, and they don't kick the ball out. We get a turnover, we play, we keep the ball in play for about 2.5 minutes, and in the 83rd minute, the ball swings to the right-hand side of the field where I find myself. As I step back inside, there's this gap that just opens up, and I go on and score a try that then gets converted by Derek Hogarth, which sees us as the Bulls team become the first South African Super Rugby side to ever win the competition. Pretty cool. And 2007, many will remember it for being a pretty special year. And as great as it was winning that Super Rugby competition, a couple of months later, the next jersey gives exactly how special it was. So this is a twofold story. I know we're saying jersey tales, but I'm throwing a ball as well, and I'll tell you exactly now why. And as a professional athlete, you always aim to be playing your best at the pinnacle of your sport. And for a rugby player, that is going to a Rugby World Cup. And Rugby World Cup 2007, on an individual perspective for me, was incredible. I got to equal Jonah Lomu's record for a number of tries scored in the tournament. But I got to be a part of a South African side that won the World Cup outside of South African shores for the first time ever. And this jersey with that final and the autographs of the team that played in that final is probably one of my most treasured in my collection, and one that holds some incredible memories in terms of the hard work, the sacrifice and dedication. And the reason I have the ball with me is the fact that, and I'm hoping Rugby World Cup and World Rugby don't watch this too much, but the actual ball that Farid Priya kicked out into the stands when the final whistle goes, you'll actually see in that clip where Brian Habana doesn't go hug his teammate. He sort of runs to the first French ball boy out of shot to ask for the ball, and this French guy just doesn't understand my very poor parlez-vous français, and the ball that Farid actually kicked out into the stands sort of came hobbling down and bounced in front of me, and that ball holds probably an even more special place in my house. So yeah, what an incredible time, winning a Rugby World Cup, being at the pinnacle of a career, and being involved in a team with some absolute legends. It was a moment that I'll never ever forget, and coming back to South Africa and seeing that impact on the reverse side of the coin that we were able to have, seeing black kids in the rural township running 2-3 kilometers barefoot behind the bus, just to get a glimpse of their heroes, a glimpse of hope, makes anything that you do, all the hard work, sacrifice, not worthwhile but priceless, because it really showed us firsthand the power that sport has to bring people together, to unite and break down barriers on so many different levels. Jersey tales become pretty cool when you get to reflect on all the awesome memories, and one special memory that was probably up there with some of the best ever. This jersey is something that each and every rugby player wants to get their hands on, to play for the Barbarians, one of the most unique historic traditions in rugby, where you come up against players in your career internationally, and then you get an opportunity to play with them. You get an opportunity to break down those barriers, break down the perceptions that you have of each other, get to spend a week together. And we got to play against the All Blacks, and we had the likes of Victor Matfield as captain, Bisam Torreira, Bismarck du Plessis, Matt Gitau, Rocky Alsam, George Smith, Drew Mitchell, Joe Rokotoko, Lee Halfpenny, Jock Farid, Jamie Roberts. It was a phenomenal team, and not only did we beat the All Blacks at Twickenham that day, I think it was the first time they'd actually lost that year, but I managed to score 3 tries for the Barbarians on that very, very special day. So a really special jersey, and one that, is pretty dirty. It was me diving, but it has some incredible legends' names autographed on it. So this is what Jersey Tales is all about. I then made the decision to go to the Côte d'Azur, and what a decision that was, getting to team up with the likes of Johnny Wilkinson, Ollie Williams, Carl Heyman. Now I'm just looking at these names, they are just incredible. And I got to be a part of a team that in my first season at Toulon, we won the double, so the Heineken Cup, beating Saracens, and then winning the top 14 at Stade de France. And I'm not quite sure how many times God Save the Queen has been played at Stade de France, but for the great Johnny Wilkinson, who played his last game of rugby, winning the top 14, getting him being a part of that team and captaining us to that victory, it was really synonymous with what Johnny was all about. And getting to share the change room with these guys, getting to experience a different culture and making rugby and the camaraderie that it stands for so much more meaningful. And I'll never forget him going back, post winning the double and having 60-odd thousand fans in the streets in Toulon, doing our trophy parade and just seeing, again, on a different scale, what rugby means to people and how it does bring people together. It has officially now been said that after much uncertainty, after much debate, the British and Irish Lions will be touring South Africa towards the latter part of this year. Having played in 2009, a year which was incredible, for me personally, but getting to play against the Lions and get to be a part of something that was absolutely insane was pretty special. Winning that second game in Pretoria, to win the series, to score a try, and winning it in the manner in which we did with that Mornay Steyn 56-meter kick was pretty special. The celebrations were pretty huge, and looking ahead to this year, hopefully we will be seeing some special moments being made, some historic moments being made, and Warren Gatland vying to be the first coach to not lose a Lions series. Rassie, Rasmus Jacques, Nalba and Sia Khaleesi vying to win a game since their last game on the 2nd of November 2019 when they beat England in that Rugby World Cup final. Makes for a pretty spicy contest, and I absolutely cannot wait for it. So that's me. Those are my jersey tales, special memories, and I think, grateful for the camaraderie, grateful for the friendships that through rugby I've been able to achieve, and looking forward to hearing many more jersey tales. So I hope you'd enjoy, and remember, comment below and like and subscribe.